Hello, Steve White, Checkboy89 for Steve Arts89. I was wondering when they were going to talk about this. I've got a little bit of Orville news and a little bit of Discovery news. Now, I was wondering why no one had talked about the ratings for the second episode of Star Trek Discovery yet. Everyone was going on about the first episode, how it got a really low rating of I heard it was 1.68, but I'm seeing here 1.72, so there does seem to be a bit of variation there, but that kind of matters. The second episode got 1.679, so that's a loss of over 100,000 people. So yeah, that's not good, although the demographic seems to have gone up. That doesn't make sense. Its share is 0.3, 0.2 last time, so that's interesting. But in the 18 to 49 demographic. But yes, I was wondering about this because the first episode had screened on CBS, so this was essentially a repeat because they'd shown the first episode to try and get people interested in going over to CBS All Access and buying a subscription to see the rest of the series, which not a lot of people did. So I was wondering if people would react any differently to the second and third episodes. Well, less people watched, and this was the second part of a two-parter because the first, they didn't do a movie-length episode like all the other Star Trek series since Next Gen. They did two episodes, which are essentially a two-parter film, pilot film, which it deals with the Shinzone. No, not Shinzu. God, I said this the other day. I was talking about the Shinzu. They should do a series on the Shinzu, and someone in the comments said to me, "Oh, I'd love to see a series on the Shinzon." Shinzon was the character from Star Trek Nemesis, and now I've gone and done what they did. So I made a mistake, but I know where it came from. So yeah, they did two episodes on that ship, and then everyone died. It was all over, and then the third episode starts from Discovery, and I think the first part was really supposed to be a pilot, like a movie-length pilot, but they just split into two episodes. And I was wondering how that would go, but basically they got 100,000 less people viewing that second half. Now, I thought there'd be more of a drop, actually, just between, because a lot of people would be tuning, because they hadn't seen it, what's this, and not liking it and tuning out. I thought more people would be tuning out, but the fact it was a two-parter might have helped it. If it had just been a single episode, I think less people probably would have joined in for the next episode if it had been a standalone episode. So that's kind of interesting. It didn't jump up, it didn't come up because, people hadn't seen this. The whole excuse of, people have seen the first episode, that's why they didn't watch it. Yeah, well, they haven't seen the second episode and they still didn't watch that. Actually, less people watched it. So yeah, it doesn't look like Discovery is going to be going up in the ratings. It looks like it's going to be going down. Now, so far as the Orville, Mecha Random did a video on this, and there was an article on Big Freaking Robot, and I had a quick look at that. Basically, the idea is Seth MacFarlane, he wants to leave the Orville because the talk was the Orville was being cancelled, and the talk was the Orville wasn't being cancelled. Then the talk was the Orville, they were doing a third season because they were contractually obligated, but they weren't doing a fourth season, and blah, blah, blah. And apparently the talk now is that Seth wants out. And the reason why he wants out, and I think one of the theories is that they're going to kill off his character and keep the show going, because I'm guessing he wants the show to go, he wants that to keep running, and he knows that the show, like Star Trek, is bigger than him or the other actors. It's a bigger thing than that, so they can lose him and the show will go on. But apparently the network doesn't, or the streaming service doesn't want to do the show without him. And I understand why he wants out if he does. Mecha didn't think so. I actually kind of do, because he's primarily a writer, producer, director person behind the camera. He does act. He's been in shows and that. He's been in movies. But that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of promotion, and a lot of just time on the set acting. He has got a lot of lucrative deals up at the moment. He's very sought after. He wants to get off the camera so he can do 3 or 4 shows from behind the camera rather than being on one show and then being limited, because these offers won't come again. So I think this is probably real. He's wants off the show. He thinks he can have his character leave the ship or be killed, and the ship can go on without him, and it'll still be just as good. and he knows this, and then he can still produce it while producing the other shows, and he won't miss out on anything. So I think that's actually quite plausible, but apparently that's the reason why they've had trouble getting the show into production and confirming a 4th season, because not only do they not know the ratings and the response it's going to get in its 3rd season, because it did its first 2 seasons on network television, but this is a new service. They actually don't know if it's going to be successful or not. So a 4th season is not really assured anyway, unless it's in the contract. But the other issue is they're not sure if Seth's coming back, and if Seth isn't coming back, they don't want to do the show apparently. So that's apparently why it's up in the air. And Mecca and the other people I saw looking at it weren't sort of buying it. And that was my initial thought till I started to think about it and remember that he's not an actor. And as a producer, he's got so many more options that he can produce shows. So I think maybe this is actually true, or at least it's enough of an issue to be a bargaining tactic or something for more money for the 4th season or something. It's hard to tell with these Hollywood types what they're doing. But I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to comment on that. And that's it really. Discovery, I mean, we're waiting for season 3. Will be next week. In a couple of days we get the last episode of Lower Decks. I'm kind of glad it's over. But that just means the next week is Discovery season 3, which is going to be even worse, because basically they've destroyed the Federation in the future, and it is not a future I want to see. I kind of believed in Star Trek in being our future, and the idea that they've now destroyed it and then we have no future anymore, it really is depressing, and it's not what Gene Roddenberry envisioned or what he would have wanted. So I'm not looking forward to seeing this season. 2nd season I was looking forward to, because the 1st season of Klingon War was awful, and when they were talking about bringing Pike and the Enterprise on and doing a different story for that season rather than continuing the Klingon War, they just ended it really quick to get rid of it at the end of the 1st season. I was feeling optimistic, and then it didn't go so well, but the Pike scenes and the Enterprise stuff was still good, but they wanted to sell us on the idea that it was better and different and they were changing, but they really didn't change the series that much. They still had the same virtue signalling and the same gender politics and the same just the same issues, the same tropes that they had in the 1st season. They continued into the 2nd season. So I was a little hopeful for season 2, but then that dropped right away. 3rd season, I don't want it, dreading it. I think it's going to be hideous. The talk also is that they are stranded on the planet the whole time, so it's going to be just like Lost in Space. So we have no space exploration, no stuff like bright uniforms, no likeable characters, no Planet of the Week, no Strange New Worlds or civilizations, nothing that resembles Star Trek, just a bunch of people stranded on a planet, dressed in casual gear because they're trying to blend in with the other people on the planet where there is no Federation anymore. So you're not going to walk around in a uniform for a establishment, an institution that's been gone for 900 years or something. So it's just going to be like Rebels or what was that show everyone loved? There was like a Western in space. They did the film Serenity. I can't remember what the actual series was called, but everyone loves that. It's just going to be like that. So I am not looking forward to it at all, and actively dreading it. Just like I'm dreading in 2 days, or 3 days, the final episode of Lower Decks. Like I said, the good thing is over, the bad thing is then we have Discovery. And there is talk of season 4 happening. Hasn't started yet, but the pre-production does seem to be happening, so that would indicate it's actually going to happen. But plenty of shows have been stopped late in the game where they already had pre-production because the people working assumed it was going to work. And I think some people, they know a show is going to be cancelled, but they didn't, just in denial of it, and they think if they start working on it somehow they're going to have to make the series. It doesn't always work. So I don't know what's happening with that, but the talk is that they've got the contract for 5 years with Netflix, so they're just going to use the Netflix money to keep the show going without actually spending any of their money on it, and it gives them more content for the channel, and they get to save face a bit and be like, oh, we went 5 seasons, we're a hit. No, you won't. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I think Seth might be gone for the 4th season. There might be a 4th season, because if he wants it to go and it rates well enough and he can convince them that the show will go without him, they really don't care. They just want money. So it might actually happen. But I actually think this is quite possible because he doesn't want to be acting on the screen. He wants to be producing and writing shows and having he wants to have a whole little industry unto himself. And he can't get that doing 14-hour days on a film set as a character. But I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.